If you've ever driven along the banks of America's mighty Mississippi River, you know, there's something magical about it. But while we all associate rivers with flowing water, astronauts have just reported that one particular section of the Mississippi is literally flowing backwards. So what's going on here? Is the Mississippi River really flowing backwards? And if so, why is it doing this? Why does it seem to defy the laws of nature? We sent our outside correspondent Cheryl to find out. In today's video, you won't believe what she discovered. Viewer discretion is advised for this video as some images may be considered disturbing or offensive. We, the makers of this video, in no way support or condone the actions of the subjects featured. We only show them to you because we believe in the freedom of expression and the importance of letting people decide for themselves how to think about the world around them. Now, back to our story. Before we get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button to stay up to date on all of our awesome videos. Now, let's jump into today's video. The Mississippi River is the lifeblood of America. It stretches for more than 2,300 miles from its source in Minnesota to its mouth in the Gulf of Mexico. Along the way, it flows through 10 states, including Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, Missouri, Kentucky, Tennessee, Arkansas, Louisiana, and of course, Mississippi. The Mississippi River Basin covers over 40% of the continental United States and is home to more than 20 million Americans. As such, it plays an important role in the nation's economy. In fact, the river is one of the busiest inland waterways in the world. More than 6,000 commercial vessels navigate its waters every year, carrying everything from grain to coal to gravel. The Mississippi River is also a major source of drinking water for many Americans. In fact, more than half of the people who live in the basin rely on the river as their primary source of drinking water. But despite its importance, the Mississippi River is in trouble. In recent years, the river has become increasingly polluted. And in some areas, the water has literally started flowing backwards. That's right! In some places along the Mississippi River, the water is flowing upstream. And scientists are baffled. What's happening to the Mississippi River? Why is the water flowing backwards? And how can we fix it? These are important questions that scientists are working hard to answer. The good news is that we're making progress. We're learning more about the Mississippi River and how to protect it. So when astronauts reported that a part of the Mississippi was literally flowing backwards, the scientific community was shocked. Some argued that it was impossible, but others knew that they had to take this seriously. After all, astronauts don't lie. They had to come up with a logical explanation for what they were seeing. There were no other options, so that's when NASA assembled a team of experts to investigate the matter. They pored over satellite imagery and data from various sources, trying to piece together what could be causing this phenomenon. Finally, they came up with a theory. The problem, they concluded, was the result of a perfect storm of circumstances that had never been seen before. First, there was the hurricane. The powerful storm had caused massive flooding along the Mississippi River. The water level rose so high that it caused widespread damage in several states. But as the hurricane began to move away, the wind shifted. This caused the water level to drop dramatically. The Mississippi River went from being full to almost dry in a matter of hours. Second, there was the Blue Hole. This is a deep underwater sinkhole that's located near the mouth of the Mississippi River. It's not unusual for the Blue Hole to form after a hurricane. But this one was bigger than normal. The sinkhole was nearly 100 feet deep, and it was sucking water out of the river at an alarming rate. Third, there was the moon. The gravitational pull of the moon causes tides in the ocean. But did you know that it also affects freshwater rivers? That's right. The moon's gravity is so strong that it actually pulls water out of the Mississippi River every day. This is what causes the daily rise and fall of the river's water level. But when the moon is at its closest point to the Earth, its gravity is even stronger. This can cause an extreme high tide, which is known as a Perigean spring tide. And that's exactly what happened during the hurricane. When all these factors came together, it created a perfect storm. The flooding from the hurricane combined with the blue hole and the Perigean spring tide to cause water to flow backwards in the Mississippi River. At first, this was only a minor phenomenon, but as the days went on, it became more and more pronounced. Eventually, the water was flowing backwards at such a speed that it was visible from space. That's why the astronauts were able to see it. But wait, you might be thinking, if the water was flowing backwards, then surely it would have stopped at some point. After all, gravity pulls everything down. Why didn't the water eventually stop flowing backwards and start flowing forwards again? Well, that's a great question. But the answer is complicated. Basically, when the water flows backwards in the Mississippi River, it doesn't just flow backwards on the surface, it also flows backwards underneath the surface. You see, the Mississippi River isn't just a single channel of water. It's made up of many channels that are connected to each other. When the water flows backwards on the surface, it also flows backwards through these underground channels. This creates a sort of siphon effect. And as long as the water is flowing backwards on the surface, it will continue to flow backwards through the underground channels. However, when the water stops flowing backwards on the surface, the siphon effect will stop as well, and the water will eventually flow forwards again. But how long does this process take? Unfortunately, there's no easy answer. It depends on a lot of factors, including the strength of the siphon, the depth of the river, and the amount of water flowing through it. In general, though, it can take several days for the water to stop flowing backwards after a major storm. And that's exactly what happened. A few days after the hurricane, the water in the Mississippi River began to flow forwards again. But wait, you might be thinking, if the water was flowing backwards in the Mississippi River, why wasn't it pulled back into the ocean by gravity? After all, gravity pulls everything towards the center of the earth. Why didn't the water just fall back into the river and flow towards the ocean? Well, that's another great question. You see, when the water was flowing backwards in the Mississippi River, it wasn't really defying gravity. Gravity was still pulling the water towards the center of the earth. But the force of the water flowing backwards was stronger than the force of gravity. This is why the water was able to flow backwards in the first place. However, once the force of the water flowing backwards started to weaken, the force of gravity became stronger, and the water started to flow forwards again. As you can imagine, this process was both fascinating and perplexing to watch. The astronauts were able to capture stunning images and video footage of the phenomenon. They also conducted experiments to try to better understand it. Their findings were eventually published in a scientific journal, where they were met with a mix of excitement and skepticism. Many scientists were thrilled to see new and unexpected behavior in the Mississippi River. Others were more skeptical, arguing that the phenomenon couldn't possibly be real. Nevertheless, the evidence was clear. The water in the Mississippi River had indeed been flowing backwards. Since then, scientists have continued to study the Mississippi River in order to better understand its behavior. Still not entirely sure what caused the water to flow backwards in 2005. But they hopeful that their research will shed light on other similar phenomena in the future. And that's all for today's video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, please give us a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe either. We'll see you next time.